The restaurant's private dining room hummed with the satisfied chatter of family members who'd just finished an excellent meal when Veronica's announcement cut through conversations like a hot knife through butter. "I'm replacing you Monday," she declared, her perfectly veneered smile aimed at me like a weapon. "The boss loves me." I carefully pushed the crystal salt shaker across the mahogany table, watching it catch the candlelight as I measured my words. "Which boss?" "I bought the company last week. HR doesn't have your paperwork." Did she really think she could waltz into my family dinner, announce she was stealing my job, and not know she'd just declared war on the person who now signed every paycheck at Meridian Technologies? The private room at Chiz Laurent went silent. Forks hovering, wine glasses suspended mid-sip. My husband Daniel's face had frozen in an expression somewhere between horror and confusion. His sister Veronica's triumphant smile began to falter like a bad internet connection. "What do you mean? You bought the company?" Her voice climbed an octave. I dabbed my lips with the linen napkin, taking my time. "I mean that as of last Tuesday, I own 87% of Meridian Technologies. The deal closed while you were apparently schmoozing with middle management and planning your coup." Around the table, family members began to stir. My mother-in-law Grace set down her champagne flute with a sharp clink. Father-in-law Richard's eyebrows had climbed toward his receding hairline. Daniel's brother Marcus was openly gaping. "That's impossible," Veronica sputtered. "Mr. Harrison would have told me. We had lunch 3 times this week." "Tom Harrison?" I pulled out my phone, scrolling through emails. The same Tom Harrison who's been desperately trying to keep his job since the acquisition. The one who's been feeding you promises he has no authority to keep. I found the email I wanted and read aloud. "Dear Ms. Turner, I want to assure you that despite the ownership transition, I remain committed to maintaining stability in middle management. However, I must inform you that all hiring decisions now require owner approval. Best regards, Tom." "Middle management?" Veronica's voice cracked. "He's senior vice president." "Was," I corrected. "His new title is regional sales coordinator. Bit of a demotion, but he's lucky to still have a desk." Daniel finally found his voice. "Madeline, why didn't you tell me you were buying Meridian?" I turned to my husband, the man who'd spent the last 6 months telling me I should be grateful for my position, that I was lucky to have survived 3 rounds of layoffs. "When would I have told you?" "During one of your lectures about how I should be nicer to Tom Harrison. Or maybe while you were suggesting I help Veronica get an interview." "This is about me, isn't it?" Veronica stood, her chair scraping against the floor. "You've always been jealous." "Jealous?" I laughed, genuinely amused. "Of what?" "Your 2 failed MLM schemes. Your 3 months at that boutique before they caught you stealing. Your brief stint as a social media influencer with 500 bot followers." "How dare you?" She turned to Daniel. "Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" Daniel looked between us, clearly out of his depth. Maddie, you bought your company." "Our company now," I clarified. "Though our is generous since you've never shown interest in my career beyond whether it conflicted with family dinners." Marcus cleared his throat. "Wait, Veronica, didn't you tell us Madeline was getting fired? That's why you were taking her job?" I smiled, the pieces falling into place. "Let me guess. Tom told you I was on the chopping block. Said he could slide you right into my position. Senior technical analyst, right?" Veronica's silence was answer enough. "Here's what actually happened," I continued, refilling my wine glass. "Tom Harrison has been trying to force me out for 2 years. Not because of performance, I've exceeded every metric, but because I refused his advances and reported him to HR." Grace gasped. Richard shifted uncomfortably. "HR buried it. Of course. Tom's golf buddy ran the department. So I started documenting everything. Every inappropriate comment. Every denied promotion. every project he stole credit for. And while I was building my case, I was also building something else, a buyout proposal. You planned this, Veronica accused. For 18 months, I confirmed. Found investors who believed in my vision for Meridian. Negotiated with the board while Tom was busy playing politics. Closed the deal while he was having those lunches with you, promising you my job. I pulled up another document on my phone. Speaking of which, let's discuss your qualifications for Senior Technical Analyst. Bachelor's degree in Computer Science? No. Master's in Data Analytics? No. Any technical certifications? No. Previous experience in tech? Unless we count that week you tried to sell essential oils on Facebook, also no. Tom said he'd train me. Tom couldn't train a dog to sit. He's been coasting on other people's work for a decade. I locked my phone. But let's get back to your announcement. You're replacing me Monday? Veronica lifted her chin. Tom promised. Tom's promises expired when his signature authority did. But here's what's going to happen Monday. You're going to arrive at Meridian's lobby at 9 a.m., just like you planned. You'll tell security you're there to start your new position. They'll check their list, find no Veronica Patterson, and politely ask you to leave. You can't do this. I can do whatever I want. It's my company. I signaled the waiter for the check. But I'm not completely heartless. We are family after all. Hope flickered in her eyes. So I'll give you the same opportunity I give all applicants. Submit your resume through our website. If you meet the minimum qualifications for any open position, HR will contact you for an interview. What positions are open? She asked desperately. Let's see. We need a janitor for the night shift. Part-time receptionist on weekends. Oh, and cafeteria services is always hiring. The table erupted. Grace accused me of humiliating the family. Richard muttered about vindictive women. Marcus tried to play peacemaker. Through it all, Daniel sat silent, processing the reality that his wife hadn't just survived corporate politics, she'd won the entire game. You set her up, he finally said. You knew Tom was feeding her lies and you let her believe them. I let a woman who spent 3 years calling me a pencil pusher and suggesting I should quit to have babies chase her own delusions, I corrected. The same woman who told your entire family I was too ambitious for my own good. Who whispered that I was neglecting you by working late. Who suggested, loudly, at last Christmas that you deserved a real wife who understood priorities. She didn't mean, Grace started. She meant every word. I cut her off. Just like she meant it when she told the neighbors I was having an affair with my boss. Ironic, considering she's the one having lunch dates with Tom Harrison. Veronica's face flushed. Those were professional meetings. In hotel restaurants. With wine. Ending with him walking you to your car and lingering goodbyes. I shook my head. I have security footage, Veronica. Another perk of owning the company. Access to all the cameras in our parking garage. You spied on me? I monitored my facilities for security purposes and happened to notice an unauthorized visitor having repeated meetings with an employee under investigation for harassment. The waiter arrived with the check. I handed him my card, the new one with owner and CEO, printed beneath my name. This is illegal, Richard announced. Discrimination. Retaliation. We'll sue. For what? I asked mildly. Not hiring an unqualified applicant who hasn't even applied. Refusing to honor promises made by an employee without authority, or maybe for buying a company with my own money and running it as I see fit. I signed the receipt and stood. Here's some free advice, Richard. Your daughter is unemployed with no skills and champagne tastes. Instead of enabling her fantasies about stealing other people's jobs, maybe encourage her to earn one. You've changed, Daniel said quietly. No, I replied, gathering my coat. I've just stopped pretending to be less than I am to make others comfortable. Veronica made one last attempt. Madeline, please. We're family. Surely you could find something. I found something, I interrupted. I found that you've been plotting to take my job for months. I found that you were willing to celebrate my supposed firing at a family dinner. I found that you announced my replacement with joy in your voice and malice in your heart. I looked around the table at these people I'd tried so hard to please for 7 years. I also found $22 million in venture capital and bought a company. Funny how different our definitions of achievement are. Where are you going? Daniel asked as I headed for the door. Back to my office. The one Veronica won't be occupying Monday or any other day. We're announcing the acquisition tomorrow, and I have a press release to approve. It's Saturday night. And I own a company that needs restructuring. That's what real executives do, Veronica. Work. Not scheme over lunches with married men twice their age. I paused at the door, looking back at the wreckage of dinner. Oh, and Tom Harrison. He'll be clearing out his office Monday morning. Security will escort him out at 9 a.m. Maybe you can keep him company in the lobby. The drive back to Meridian's headquarters was peaceful. The building stood gleaming in the city lights, my name soon to replace the old logo. 22 floors of potential, innovation, and hard-won success. My phone buzzed with messages I ignored. Daniel trying to process. Grace demanding apologies. Veronica threatening lawsuits. Let them rage. I had work to do. In my office, the CEO's office now. I looked at the planning wall I'd hidden behind false panels for 18 months. Every move mapped out. Every contingency considered. Veronica's attempted coup was just a minor footnote, barely worth the post-it note I'd allocated to Harrison's revenge plots. Tom had thought he was so clever, promising my job to my sister-in-law. He probably imagined the poetry of it, replacing me with family, making every holiday a reminder of his power. Instead, he'd given me the perfect opportunity to reveal the truth and clean house simultaneously. My assistant knocked and entered with a stack of transition documents. Working late on a Saturday, Ms. Turner? Just getting started, Jennifer. Is the all-hands meeting scheduled for Monday? 9:30 a.m. Right after Mr. Harrison's departure. I smiled. Perfect. Let's make sure security knows to be especially professional. We want to set the right tone for the new era. As I worked through the night, preparing to transform Meridian from a mediocre tech firm into the powerhouse I knew it could be, I thought about Veronica standing in that lobby Monday morning. The confusion, the humiliation, the slow realization that her big announcement had been nothing but empty words. She'd said the boss loved her. She just hadn't realized which boss actually mattered. By dawn, I'd approved the press release, finalized the restructuring plan, and sent offer letters to 3 brilliant developers Tom had driven away. Meridian Technologies was about to become everything I'd envisioned. And Veronica? She'd learned what I'd known for years. You don't get handed success at family dinners. You earn it in offices at 3 a.m., in boardrooms facing down doubters, in moments when you choose to buy the company rather than beg for recognition from men who'll never give it. She'd announced she was taking my position. Instead, she'd simply shown everyone at that table exactly why she never could. Monday morning came faster than expected. I arrived at 7 a.m. to find Tom Harrison already in the lobby, security box in hand, arguing with Kurds about misunderstandings and authorization. At 9 a.m. sharp, Veronica walked through the revolving doors in her new suit, head high, confidence radiating. She marched to the security desk, announced herself, and waited for her moment of triumph. The guard's polite confusion was almost painful to watch. The checking of lists. The apologetic shrug. The suggestion that perhaps she was at the wrong building. Tom noticed her then, his face cycling through relief, hope, and finally understanding as security firmly escorted him toward the exit. Their eyes met across the marble lobby, 2 conspirators realizing their plot had failed before it began. I watched from the mezzanine, coffee in hand, as my sister-in-law and my former tormentor were politely but firmly removed from my building. Below, employees streamed in for the all-hands meeting where they'd learn about new ownership, new opportunities, and a new zero-tolerance policy for harassment and nepotism. Veronica looked up just before exiting, our eyes meeting across 2 floors and a lifetime of different choices. I raised my coffee cup in a small salute. She'd announced she was replacing me. But some positions can't be stolen, only earned. And that was a lesson worth teaching, even if it came with a side of family drama. My phone buzzed. "Daniel, we need to talk." I typed back. "In my office. Top floor. Ask for the CEO." Time to see if my marriage could survive my success as well as it had weathered my struggles. But either way, Meridian Technologies was mine. And nobody, not Tom Harrison, not Veronica, not even my well-meaning but misguided husband, would make me pretend otherwise. The boss did love Veronica, just not the boss she'd thought, and not in the way she'd hoped.